Okay.
Thank you. Hi everyone. I'm so glad to see all of you here because you guys are thinking to become a CPA. The department is, I really appreciate Professor Yao Tian Li and also Professor Zhang Lo here today. They are going to talk about the criteria to sit in the CPA exam as well as the criteria to get your CPA license after passing the CPA exams. So one more thing I want to mention is to remind you about the workshop on September 16, next Monday. So these two professors also agreed to give us a transcript review section from the 12:30 to 4 p.m. But make sure you fill out the worksheets I'm going to send out this afternoon after this workshop before you visit them. So again, it's going to be next Monday, the same location from 12:30 to 4 p.m. And bring all your transcript from community college as well as the San Francisco State University transcript and fill out the worksheet before you come. All right, so without further ado, and we are welcome Professor Yao Tian Li and also Professor Zhang Lo to give us the speech about the criteria of the CPA exam as well as the licensures.
Thank you. I have one question.
Yes.
The scholars program, once the students complete the requirement for the bachelor's, they get the bachelor's on their transcript, right?
Yes.
And then they continue on for the master's.
Right. So the newly update is after students fulfill all the bachelor requirement, they actually get the diploma for their undergraduate degree, and then they will stay one more year to finish all the requirement for their master's.
Okay.
And they will get a master's degree after a year.
Okay. Good, and that'll tie in to what we're going to talk about, in that in order to sit for the exam, you just have to have your bachelor's with 24 semester units of accounting, 24 semester units of business. So conceivably, because your bachelor's will be awarded to you, you could complete the exams while you're finishing up the master's program. So that's maybe a good strategy for somebody to come out of San Francisco State with a master's degree, done with the CPA exam, just seeking the experience. So I'll talk a little bit more when we get in. So my name is John Lord. Thanks for coming. I've been teaching here at San Francisco State for about 6 years. I teach various classes from introduction to governmental to advanced accounting. I also teach the CPA exam. So in the course of teaching the CPA exam, of course, I learned quite a bit about the requirements to get the license here in the state of California. And so one of my favorite things here at SFC over the last 6 years or so has been helping students review their transcripts, et cetera, to see that you have the requirements to sit and to get the license. What we're going to do today, I'm going to go over this, what they call the tip sheet from the state of California, that is pretty much the same information that you have in front of you, CPA exam requirements, documents, just a little bit different format, comes directly from the state. And what we'll do is we'll post this document along with this video so that you can download this document and have that available to look at as well. And then after I spend a little time doing that, Professor Tian has developed a new tool so that you don't have to necessarily go through the tedious process of trying to map all the classes to the requirements, and that this tool now really is a turnkey type of a tool where you can check off certain classes and it'll populate the various categories for you. But we figured it was worth it for you to see sort of how the state presents it, so you can kind of match those two things up as you go through. Okay. If there are questions as we go along, do not hesitate. Okay. Just throw them at us as they come, okay? We'll do our best to answer them. If there's anything we don't know the answer to, we can always call the state and ask them. Often I'll get a student, they'll come and ask me a question, I don't know. I just pick up the phone and call the state. In fact, sometimes I'll call them a couple, 3 times in a day. And, you know, by the 3rd time I call, I start disguising my voice. No, I'm not the person that just called. This is somebody else. So if we can't get the answer for you, we don't know the answer today, we can certainly get it for you, okay? All right. So this is the California tip sheet. And what I'm going to do is just go ahead and sort of bleed all over this thing so you can see on the screen and stuff as to what the requirements are. Okay, so to sit for the CPA exam, you have to have your bachelor's, and the bachelor's has to have 120 semester units. So you have to have your bachelor's with 120 semester units, of which 24 are to be accounting, 24 are to be business. Okay, so to sit for the exam, you just need your bachelor's. The bachelor's has to have 120 semester units. Of those 120 semester units, 24 are to be accounting, 24 are to be business. That's good to sit for the exam. Okay, this is why I'm saying that once if you were to get into the scholars program, once you were to complete the bachelor's portion of that, you'd have 24 accounting, 24 business, and you could sit for the exam while you're finishing up your master's program, the scholarship program here, which I personally think is a pretty good strategy because you finish everything while you're still in college. And so you come out with a bow on, and that you've got your master's, you've got your bachelor's, you've got the education required for the exam, you have sat for and passed maybe all 4 parts or parts of the exam. Okay, so maybe not a bad strategy. Now, when we talk the 150 units that you hear about for licensure, you need 30 more units. Okay, thus the so-called what you hear all the time, 150. It's 120, 24 accounting, 24 business to sit for the exam, then an additional 30 units, but those additional 30 units are for licensure. Okay, so you can sit for the exam, pass the exam, and get these additional 30 units after you've already passed the exam. Okay, now of those 30, 20 are to be accounting, and 10 are to be ethics. That's how they come up with the 30. The 30 plus the 120 gets you to the so-called 150 units, but these additional 30 units are for licensure. Now, sometimes students freak out and they see, what? 30 more accounting? I just had 24 units of accounting. Now I have to get 20 more accounting? Are you kidding me? And the answer is, yes, we are kidding you. Okay, only 6 of the 20, and I'm going to do the annoying quotes in the air, only 6 of the additional 20 accounting are actual accounting classes. So you can make up the rest of your accounting units with the annoying quotes by taking business classes, 14 units of business. So if we lift up and we look at the big picture here, in order to get licensed, it's actually what? 30 accounting units and 38 business. The 24 plus the 6 gets us the 30 accounting. The 24 plus the 14 gets us the 38 business. Okay, and that's what you need for licensure. Okay, now when you look at these classes, they tell us that see above for the additional 6 accounting and see above for the additional 14 business. Now, sometimes students think that that means that you can double dip, you can count the same classes in both categories. Can't do that. It's a total of what? 30 a total of 38. Total 30 accounting, 38 business. Okay, now, very important. When we talk about the Scholars Program, okay, when we talk about the Scholars Program, the state has determined that if you complete a master's degree, you are automatically determined that you have met these additional 20 units of accounting. So again, this is the beauty of the program in that you may be sitting there, well, but John, after I finish my master's, will I have enough accounting to cover it? Yes, because you're obviously going to have 24 accounting, and then you are automatically deemed to have met the additional 20 accounting that you need here. Okay, this is why this is a very strong program here now that I highly recommend you take advantage of this. Okay, now I rarely have students that have to use these provisions down here. Most of my students cover the additional 14 business units as by virtue of completing your bachelor's degree, because you can count math classes. Mathematics counts as a business class. So a lot of times I have students that have a lot of math and they use those math classes to meet the additional 14 business. Every now and then I'll get a student that decided they wanted to be an accountant when they were 2. So they go through and they do all of the things specifically just to meet the requirements, and they end up a little short of some of the business units. So what the state has done is allowed you to get a maximum of 9 units of business in classes that really have very little to do with accounting business. For example, you can take an English course. I think you've had an English course. You can count up to 3 units in English, up to 3 units in life science, etc. You can count up to 3 units of classes in foreign language, ethnic studies, okay? Sign language counts as well as foreign language. Industry-based courses, specific industries like engineering, agriculture, real estate. So theoretically, if a person had, the 6 accounting, got to have that, say they only had 5 additional business units, you could make up to 9 units from these other subjects. Again, this green part down here, I have very few students that ever have to invoke those classes. Usually, most of my students, when they come, we look at your transcript, you have the 14 business because you can count math classes, etc. Okay, where we generally fall a little bit short is in the accounting. Because to get your degree here at San Francisco State, you have to take what? You have to take 9 accounting classes, okay? 9 times 3 is what? 27? So you end up 3 units short. You always have to end up taking an additional accounting course to bring you up to the 30 under the bachelor's program. Of course, that would go away. That problem would go away if you were to do the honors program, right? Okay. Any questions so far? No? Okay, excellent. Is that the tip sheet? Oh, good. I've forgotten to print those out, so thank you. So Amy's handing out the tip sheet, so you can make some notes there. Okay, now, we said 20 accounting, 10 ethics study, right? So let's talk about the ethics requirement. Okay, now, you can get up to 7 of the 10 ethics units by taking classes that have any of these words in it. Business law, if it has the word ethics, management, organization, behavior, you're all taking that class, Management 405, it's part of your degree. That class will help you chip away at the ethics requirement, up to 7 units, okay? Now this semester, we have added a class in accountants' professional responsibilities to the catalog now, so you can take Accounting 517 here at San Francisco State, and you can also get the 3 units of accounting ethics that you have to have. The accounting ethics class is very specific. For example, let's say you're my client and you owe me some money and you haven't paid me yet. Can I hold your records in demand of payment? Can I say, hey, you see all these books and records that you need to run your business? I'm not giving them back to you until you pay me. Is that okay? The state of California ethical rules, which are tied to the AICPA's Code of Professional Conduct, says no. You cannot do that. That is unethical. Okay, as accountants, we are having a higher responsibility, higher social responsibility, high level of professionalism. You can't hold somebody's books and records hostage because, you know, hello, I have your books and records and they're sitting right here next to the shredder unless you pay me. No, we cannot do that. Okay, these are the kinds of things that you would learn in Accounting 517 that are very specific to the accounting profession. And we do have to have that class. Everyone has to have that class. That's why we added it at the undergraduate level now. Okay, so that would get you what? The 7 classes, any of them that have these words. If you took the fraud class, Accounting 516, okay, if you 518, sorry. If you took any classes that have these words, that would get you 7 of the units, but everyone has to have Accounting 517, the accounting ethics class. Okay, now you could also get up to 3 units of a class that is in the philosophy department, religion department, theology department. Typically, they want those courses to have the word introductory to philosophy. For example, Philosophy 101 would meet that requirement. Although when I've talked to the state lately, they have been pretty liberal. For example, I forget the number of the class, but it's called Critical Thinking, the ethics class called Critical Thinking. They said, yeah, well, I think we'll go ahead and accept that. It's a little bit difficult. Sometimes you call the state and they don't want to tell you if they're going to accept a class or not, but they typically kind of hint around that they will. The other class that counts that we typically don't see, that's not entirely obvious, is Management 682. That class also counts in the ethics column as well. Okay, guys, questions? All right, good. So you can see that it's not too horrible, right? Bachelor's degree, 120 semester units, 24 accounting, 24 business. That's good to sit for the exam. If you're in the honors program, as soon as you get that bachelor's, you'd be able to sit for the exam, right? You could study while you're finishing up your master's, sit for the exam. Then when you go for licensure, 30 more units, bring us up to what? Bring us up to the 150. Those 30 more units, 6 have to be accounting. You can get what? 14 as business classes, which almost all my students end up having that. So you then would have your additional 20 accounting, 10 more ethics, then brings you up to the 150. But the only really truly specific class being Accounting 517, the accounting ethics class that everyone has to have. The others, they just have to have those words. Okay, so that gives you a little background, and what Professor Tien is going to do now is he's going to show you the tool that he's developed that's going to allow you to just sort of check off what classes that you met in these requirements, and once that's populated, you can see very quickly that you've met the requirements. Okay? All right. Yes?
So for the CP licensure, you don't need to do a master's, right, to be licensed?
You do not. As long as you have the 24 accounting, 24 business, 120 semester units with the bachelor's, plus the additional 30 units that bring you up to 150, it does not have to matriculate you to a master's. Yes. And I should probably also mention, to get the license, you have to have 1 year of experience working under the supervision of a CPA. I'm going to let that, it's kind of a glaring hole in my little presentation here, that you have to work for a CPA for 1 year. So you'd have to work for somebody like myself, where I would then sign off on your experience. There's 2 types of license. You can either get an attest license or a non-attest license. A test license is basically saying that you can sign off on financial reports. You can say the financial statements are fairly presented, and investors and creditors could then use those financial statements to make their various business decisions. Okay. Non-attest license means that you still put CPA on your card. So when you go to holiday dinner and your in-laws say, "Are you a CPA?" you just say yes, and they don't know the difference. But you cannot sign off on financial reports, and often our tax folks will go that degree, okay, because they don't want to have to get into the specific types of experience that will allow you to get the attest license, like looking at revenue recognition, searching for unrecorded liabilities, confirming the existence of assets, all these things that you learn in the auditing course. Maybe if you're a tax person, you don't want to have those experiences, And so you can get what they call the general license, means you can't sign off on financial reports, but you can still call yourself CPA. Now, sometimes students will say to me, well, what should I do? Should I go for the general license or should I go for the attest license? And what I often will say is, look, if you are in a situation where you can get somebody to sign off on your experience on the general license, go ahead and have them do that, because you can, and maybe some tax folks don't like that I'm going to use the word upgrade, you could always upgrade to the attest license by getting 500 hours of experience along the lines of what I'm talking about. So even though it's 1 year of experience, they tell us that for the attest license, no less than 500 hours of that 1 year must be constituted of the type of experiences that I mentioned, the confirming the receivables, that sort of thing. 500 hours comes out to about a quarter of the year. There's 2,080 work hours in a year, 500 of those. So they don't want you to just do one, small audit over a week and say, there, I'm an attest CPA. They want you to spend at least a quarter of the work year getting those kinds of experiences. So, but if you're in a situation where someone's going to sign off on your general, go for it, okay? When you get the license, there has to be 2 signatures. If it's in a CPA firm, it has to be, unless it's a sole proprietorship, it has to be 2 CPAs. If it's not a CPA firm, the first signature has to be from a CPA. The second signature can be of an individual higher level, like a CFO or something, a CEO that maybe doesn't have a CPA, but they want 2 signatures unless it's a sole proprietorship. If there's only the one CPA in the house, then they will accept that one signature. Generally what happens, if it's just one person that's signing, they're probably a person that's signing for the first time, and what the state qualifications committee is going to do is make you and your work papers appear before the state qualifications committee in Sacramento, and you're going to have to demonstrate that you have the experience, because they don't recognize that signature. And then when that person continues to sign people through, then they recognize that person, and they'll accept their experience without making you appear. If you're working for one of the big 4 firms, any of those firms that are going to be at Meet the Firms here that you're going to go meet next week, they all are well recognized by the state. One more thing, stop unless there's any questions, but this conversation is something that you definitely need to be prepared to have with the recruiters at Meet the Firms. They are absolutely, I promise you, they're going to ask you, have you met the 150 unit requirement? Okay, so that's why we're doing this today. That's why we're going to have the workshop, because we want to make sure that when you're talking to those potential employers that they're confident that if you don't have the requirements yet, you will relatively soon, so they can bring you on board. They want to see that you have these things finished around the time you're starting. So, any other questions? No? Okay, guys, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Professor Tien. You want to just plug in, right?
Yeah, I just need the projector.
Will that work? Oh, I see. You don't even need this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Here.
okay. Oh, the only problem is we lost the. We'll still
recording?
hear you, but we won't see your screen.
That's fine.
Okay.
Okay, let's make sure that this problem with the projector. All right, so my name is Tian Lee. I teach accounting information system audit, and the 800 level, the master's level of accounting information system and cybersecurity reporting class. So this is my 2nd year here, and most of what I know about this 150 credit hour requirement is from last year's seminar workshop. John did a great job last year. We even had a guest speaker to teach the student several different paths that we can take this 150 credit requirement. So before we start, I would like you to go to this website, and it's very easy to get to. You just search in Google and CBA 150 credit requirement, and the first link you will get is this Cba Education Requirement, which will take you to the official California Board of Accountancy website, telling you what you need to meet. And You can see that education requirement over here. And the first thing is the tip sheet. So if you can't find your tip sheet, right, and you want to learn more about the regulations, right, you can see this entire thing is here, because what we are trying to do here is to give you quick guide information. It's not right a Bible or anything, but if you want to study the license requirements, they are all here, right? And the CBA does have a self-assessment worksheet for the CPA license education requirement, which you can fill out. And I would strongly recommend you to fill out this worksheet before meet the firm, right? And then show them that you have done your homework, right? But this thing is very difficult to fill out because it's just a PDF document you print out, right? But based on what we learned in the last 30 minutes, right? A lot of times the course title that you have, right? Oh, I don't know which categories can I put in this course, right? So you will have to get like what? Eraser or something, put this, oh, it's not right, and I erased it, and I have to calculate how many hours to get, right? It's a cumbersome process. So to make this process easier, I designed a worksheet for you, right, which can tabulate, right, the hours you have accumulated in a particular category, and it will give you advice in real time whether you have the hours or not, right? And you can use the information that you enter in the worksheet and then put that in this self-assessment worksheet, right? Although it's not required, but if you show up the interview with this self-assessment worksheet completed, right, it will put you in much higher position than other students looking for an interview. I think I mentioned more than once in my class that when you are in this type of meet the firm or career path, career fair, right? You have to make sure that you are a low-hanging fruit for the recruiters. The recruiters there, they meet hundreds of people, right? But hardly ever they can remember anyone from that session, right? But you showed the effort, right? That, you have done your homework, you know what is required, you present yourself professionally, and you are, what we said, the low-hanging fruit, easy for the picking, right? Okay, that the recruiter does not have to work extra hard, right, to figure out whether you qualify or not, right? You've done your homework. So that's what we are trying to do today. So later this afternoon, you will receive this worksheet, okay? And let me pull out the blank version, right? So this is the blank version of the worksheet. And you will see several tabs here. First, the introduction, and then the instructions, and step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. So what you need to do is just follow the steps, right? You can use this tip sheet that John just presented, or you can get it from the CBA website, right? Or you can print out this entire instruction sheet, right? It will give you similar information. It's just this instruction here have more information pertaining to this Excel version of the worksheet. So let's try this out. I go to step 1. I've put my name here. My student ID, let's say it's 99999. And I'm gonna graduate spring 2020, all right? So are you currently in or considering the Scholars Program? Check if yes, right, or no, right? This is just for our information. So regarding the master degree, there's actually some minute detail you must know, right? According to CBA, there are only 3 master's degrees qualified for, like waiving the accounting studies. The first one is Master of Accountancy, that's our 4+1 program. The second one is Master of Taxation. And the third one is Master of Law in Taxation, these 3. If you have either or any one of these 3, the system will tell you you are deemed to have met the 20 semester unit of accounting studies, that which John just talked about, right? It's really convenient, right? If you take this 1 year only, then you don't need to worry about that 20 units accounting studies. But if you are just a bachelor degree, right, you need to complete 20 units of accounting studies. And then we'll go to step 2. And step 2 is to list all your accounting courses that you have taken, right? So accounting courses, by definition, right, you can take a look at CBA's official definition of accounting courses, but it's easier way for us or for you at this point, they're just any courses that is offered by the accounting department, right, or has the word accounting in it, it's accounting courses, right? It does not matter the courses come from SF, the San Francisco State University, or some, let's say, community college,
City College.
Diablo, or City College. All right, so let's say ACCT 100, right? Intro to accounting, right? Right, that, let's say ACCT, let's say 1000, right? Just say ACCT, just for the purpose of it, right? So when you enter the courses that you have taken, right, make sure you supply the semester units here, right? It's a 3-semester course, right? And then the system will calculate what's the equivalent semester credit hour. So if it's a CE university or community college courses by quarter, right? So you earn 4 quarter units, and convert to equivalent semester units is 2.7. That's by CBA rule. Any quarter unit that you've gotten, you have to times by 2/3. So 4 times 2/3, it's 2.6666, and it's rounded up to 2.7. Right, so you fill out all these courses that you have taken, just the accounting courses, right? That's the step 2. And step 3, you will list all your non-accounting courses here, right? The reason why we do this here in the step 2 and step 3 is because we want the system to calculate how many units you actually have. Do you even qualify for 120, or do you qualify for 150, and how many units you need, right? So the system can tell you. So let's take a look at another version, which I already filled out a few. So in step 2, these are the typical San Francisco State University student, the courses they've taken, recommended by the course map, right? Recommended by the course map, you will be taking 100, 100, 101, 301, 302, 305, 307, 508, 509, right? 504, 513, and maybe these students want to do more. So this student actually took 2 sessions of independent study, because each one of them is only 1 credit unit, and 2 sessions of accounting internship. So now you see this student here, if you scroll down a little bit, he actually earned 34 accounting courses in his or her undergraduate years, right? And we are not assuming this student is going for 4+1, because with the information here that the student is only going for a bachelor degree. And for some non-accounting courses, let's take a quick look, right? It's quite typical. Microeconomics, writing, psychology, world literature, gender, health, environment, macroeconomy, business calculus, fundamental of oral communication, digital media, la 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 la. So this student take 90 courses from like general education or other San Francisco State University requirement. So we see that these students actually took her initiative, right? Earned 4 more credits, right? So once you filled out the step 2, step 3, right, and diligently figured out that the semester units are, you can move on to step 4. In step 4, it's quite interesting. The magic happens here. These fields are automatically populated based on what you filled out in step 2 and step 3. And now you can play around how you're gonna assign the category, right? So if you, let's say, let's just clear all this up. Let's move up to the accounting side. So, introduction to financial accounting. What do you guys think? Which category should I put in there? Okay. Probably core accounting, right? Yeah. Okay. So the tip when you working this portion, the step 4, right? Same thing, just like regular any spreadsheet, work from left towards right, right? The reason why we put ethics education first, because this is the area that's most problematic, right? And you will see very soon why I call it problematic. Because a lot of times that if you read the cheat sheet here, the first problem is that before this year, we did not have accounting ethics or accounting professional responsibility courses offered in San Francisco State University. A student must have to take it somewhere else, right? And even more than that, is there are 7 maximum units you have to take in the general ethics, right? And those courses are, it's kind of strange too, that the course title, as you can see here, must be in this category, right? All these in order to qualify, right? Okay, so let's try to do this one by one, right? It is up to you whether you want to find, do I have this column first and find the course, or you can work this way down. This course, what column? This course, what column? It doesn't matter. The system is smart enough to detect errors. But for example, if I put this in ethics column, and then I also put it in core accounting, right? It will tell you that you have to put in duplicate column. Can't do that, right? So let's say pure accounting, right? And then, as you can see here, the information keep updating. 9, 12. What is it shaking here? Okay. Accounting information systems here. Federal tax accounting here. Federal tax accounting here. 24, right? So if you put more than 24, the system is actually going to tell you that 27 claimed in this category. You only need to claim 24 here. Consider using the axis credits in another category. Right. Okay, so I'll put the accounting studies over here, international accounting over here, independent study and accounting internship. That's actually qualified for here. Accounting studies, intern and study. That's here, the last one in accounting studies, right? So we'll put it over here. Okay. So as you can see, when you work this system, right, you can move this category around, right? Try your own overflow yourself, right? And the system, once you meet the requirement, the worksheet gonna tell you, congratulations, you claim 24 units in this category. Congratulations, you claim 24 units in this category, right? And then try each one of them, right? Okay, so assuming that we have finished this whole thing, right? Include the non-accounting courses, we also assigned. So once you have done the step 4, your job is done. Because all the information you provided will be automatically put into step 5 here, right? So it will give you a summary, evaluation summary. Congratulations, you claim 24 units here, business related, 24, done. Accounting study, right? We give you the recommendation here, and ethics study, right? And because this student, based on his or her transcript, does not have accounting ethics or accounting professional responsibility course, and that course is very specific. The CPA says, if you do not have that course, it doesn't really matter you have 150 credit units. If you do not have that, you don't qualify. And that course is pinnacle course. You must have it, right? So before you evaluate your transcript, you may want to find out, right, whether you have that course or not, because you must have that course, right? And as you can see here, if you go down to the detailed evaluation result, it will tell you that you are a bachelor student, right? And now you have semester units is 124. It's calculated based on the information you have provided. So please provide accurate information on this worksheet. And then units you need to reach 150 credit hour is also here, okay? And then you work down, you see is step by step whether for accounting subject, right, how many classes you have okay, claimed, right? And then you will see that it's 24 units already. And then go to the business 24 units. You have to claim these courses with the course code, right? And go into accounting studies requirement for 20 semester units. And this area is more complicated, so it's broken down into sub-units, right? Like for example, right, the AS1, I call it AS1, the first subject. You need 6 accounting units, right? And then business-related subject, max 14 units, right? And then other relevant the academic work, right? It's 9 units in 3 categories, right? And then AS4 internship independent study, max 4 units. So some students get confused, right? So it says max units. Do I absolutely have to claim any units in there? No, right? You have nothing in that category, right? The important one is to meet the minimum that is specified. If it says minimum 24, you gotta have 24 in there. If it says minimum 3 in accounting ethics, you gotta have 3 in accounting ethics, right? The one thing that John, when I designed this, I found it very interesting is the, like for example, accounting ethics here, right? So minimum, you must have 3 units here, right? And then here, the general business ethics, as you can see that if you have classes in auditing, business law, fraud, ethics, moral, like business leadership, corporate governance, organizational behavior, the max is 7 units. So you may think, right, I have 3 courses here. That'll be like, what, 9 units, right? But it's only 7 units are qualified, okay? But then 7 units plus 3 here, you still have that 10, okay? So it's quite interesting that they do it this way. 7 is odd number. So if we go back to step 4 here, let's just assume that, forget about the course title, we just try it, right? So I have 3 units here. And I take another 3 units. As you can see here, you claimed 9 credits, right? But actually, qualified credits only 7, because that's what the rule said, right? Okay. So this thing is easy enough for you to do. And once you have completed this worksheet, you can print out, you can either send your completed worksheet to us, right? With your name and student ID, so we know what it is, right? Or you can print out this step 5, say Control P, right? It will print out this summary and suggestion. It will show you all the detailed units that you claimed in each of the category. And to make it easy for you, the color code here match the tip sheet's color code, right? So as you can see that in the tip sheet, the accounting and business core requirements are in blue, right? And the accounting studies are in green. Oh, is that green? It's green over here, right? And then the ethics education is in some kind of pinkish red. All right. So I believe that Amy is going to distribute these worksheets later this afternoon. Okay. Unless you have any questions that I can make last minute update on this worksheet. All right. And after you update the worksheet, this is where I want you to go. The self-assessment worksheet for the CPA license education requirement. Okay. Very good. Hold on. Let me get that. Come on. Well, this school doesn't like me, eh? But anyway, after you finish the Excel version of the worksheet, then you can use the information in step 5 over here, right? Okay, let me cancel this print preview. You can use the information in step 5, right, to fill out the information in the CBA's version of the worksheet, right? Because it's very, very difficult, right, to figure out what classes goes what category. That's the most difficult part. And that's what you guys need us for, to do the transcript evaluation. Is this course fit this category, this category, this category, right? The reason why we're requiring you to go through the Excel version first is that so you understand the process a lot better, right? Okay? And in the past that your students just show up with the transcript and nothing else, right? Didn't even come to this information session and ask Professor John Luo to go through the whole thing together. Yes, John is a very wonderful person. He would do that for you, but you are eating away other students' time, right? Because to go through your entire transcript, right, with different courses from all over California, right, or even a different state, right, he has to invest enough time, right, to sit together with one particular student while there are students waiting in line, right? And then, you really want to show the recruiter that you're engaged, right? You're an adult. You don't need somebody's hand-holding anymore, right? You can do this yourself. It's supposed to be done yourself. That what John doing here is actually not required by the school. He's just too nice. Just you should buy him a drink or something.
I like gin and tonic.
All right, so here's the worksheet on CBA. I'm downloading the PDF file right now. All right, you can see that CBA, the California Board of Accountancy, Educational Requirement for CBA License Self-Assessment Worksheet. You can see very familiar information on my step 5 and over here, right? U.S. degree or foreign equivalent, right? These 3. Right, and then remember that in our step 5, we had this, right? Accounting subject requirement, ACC 100, 101, right? To claim these courses, right? And for you is to fill out this part, called accounting subject requirement 24 semester units. Just use the information that we have in Excel to fill out this part, right? And then move down is the core business related subject 24 units, right? And in our spreadsheet, it's here. Business related subject requirement, right? Okay, and then fill out that part, okay? And accounting study requirements, 20 semester units. If you complete a qualifying master's degree, skip this section. And so that's the beauty of it. See, if you are a 4+1 student, you don't need to do this part at all, right? Skip. And then the last part is the ethics education requirement, 10, right? So, and you go through the similar calculation steps, but you can just use the information provided on the Excel worksheet because the Excel worksheet already calculated the qualifying units, right? See, total semester and quarter units here, total quarter units multiplied by 2/3, and sum equals total semester units. The Excel spreadsheet already did the work for you, right? So just fill out all this information. Okay?
And if I can chime in for 1 second, even though they break out the core accounting requirements versus whatever they're calling it, traditional, it's important to note that any accounting class will count in either category.
In either
so
category.
It's not like you have to take, say, advanced accounting to count it down into 6 units. Any accounting course. If you took introductory at, say, City College, and then you came to San Francisco State and took introductory, you can count introductory twice. However, you can't take introductory like 10 times at San Francisco State and count it. It's only one time per institution.
Okay, so here's the story, right? So some students are transfer students, like this scenario here. So some students ask, "Oh, Professor, can I have introductory to accounting in some community college? I took a few accounting courses, right? So if I take some equivalent courses here in San Francisco State University, right? Would that matter?" The answers are in CBA's credit calculation purpose, it doesn't matter. They are all counted as accounting courses. CBA does not figure out this course and that course are equivalent. They don't do that, right? But the problem is when you present your transcript to the recruiter is going to take a look at your. No, I'm hiring assurance track people, right? I want students who take auditing. I want students who have taken advanced auditing, right? But this student here just a bunch of introductory to accounting courses. So even this particular student can sit the exam, right? From the recruiter's perspective, this student is not, low-hanging fruit, right? So don't fall for that trap. It's like just for the purpose to fulfill that 100 credit requirement, I take a lot of easy accounting courses. It doesn't work, right? You see, one thing you have to remember, right? Those recruiters, they are accounting students before. They're just like you, right? They've been through this process, right? So you can't fool them, right? So do what you're supposed to do your homework, right? So when they see the students who completed this, right, you actually fill it out, the CBA, the worksheet, right? And you're there waiting in line. It's more confirmation than just, did you have that 150 requirement? They say, hey, yeah. No. Where's the audit evidence, right? Show them this, right? So you have more things to confirm that you actually know what you're doing. Yes?
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
So City College accounting classes, they give you 5 semester units.
Mm-hmm.
You see semester.
Is that semester units?
Yeah,
Four
it's a
semester
You count all 5.
Yeah.
So that would be 10 units towards the requirement. And remember I said that you get 9 classes here at San Francisco State, 3 units each, 27. But if you took them over there and it's 5 and 5, now you've got 31 units. They give you an extra unit more than you need. And so sometimes students took them over there, 100 and 101, those 2 classes, each 5 units, that's the 10, and then you start with 301 and stuff here, you end up with 31 units, and that's nice, right? So I'm not telling you to take it at City College. I'm just saying that is something that happens when you do that. Now, what some people say, yeah, but we have better teachers here at San Francisco State, and I think that's correct. I can think of a couple.
All right, so any other questions? So we will be distributing these worksheet very soon this afternoon, and I'll make sure that we get you the right version to do this. All right, so any questions for John and I? No?
Then again, we'll be back Monday, same place, 12:30 to 4. Bring your transcripts from any school that you plan to claim some of the units for. Because sometimes a lot of students will say, well, here's my San Francisco State transcript, and it shows the classes that transferred. That's not how the state looks at it. The State Board of Accountancy, as long as you took it at an accredited institution, they'll count it, even if San Francisco State didn't accept it as a transfer unit. So let's say you have 149 units, and you have 1 PE class that you took at City College. We can count that to bring you up over the 150. So I need to see the transcript from all the schools that you went to, not just San Francisco State.
And so, of course, at this point, you probably do not have 150. Some of you may not even have 120, right? So another purpose of this Excel spreadsheet is you can keep the record of what you have earned, what you're working on, And when you have finally taken those courses, you can fill it out, right? And then you see that you finally qualify in certain category, right? Just save the copy of this, so you don't need to restart this process over and over every time you take new courses, right? So the thing about this, right, is that there are instances in the past that students do not try to understand the process, and every time they earn a new few more courses in one semester, they come again, right? Right? It's like, you see, look at John, right? It's kind of like you go to the doctor's office, right? All right, so it's like this accounting credit clinic, per se, right? You remember John, but John does not remember all the patients, right? He does not have an automatic register of all the classes you have taken in the past. So for him, he has to rework the whole thing, right? But with this worksheet, part of the responsibility is on you, right? It will help you, right? It will make you a better candidate in front of recruiters. So make sure you do that, right? The tool is there, right? There's no excuse anymore because the CBA's version, the paper version, is difficult to use, right? And now you have the Excel version. And the Excel is smart enough to give you right advice, right? So take advantage of this. I can tell you this among all the CSU schools, we are the only one that has this tool. Okay.
Who created this?
I. Of course. Right? But when I was an auditor, right, I designed a workbook, the audit workbook. It's all so many versions. It's a different lifetime ago. All right. So, any other questions? No. All right. Thank you very much for showing up. I think there's still quite a few pizzas.
There's quite a bit of pizza, guys.
Yeah.
Help yourself. Let's see, I'm going to try to see if we got this recording. I don't know, it might have turned itself off at some point. I'm not sure why my microphone was giving me a hard time. It was showing that it was turned on, but it... No, it's still going.